week, Bob Nightingale of USA Today reported that the Indians are expected to trade Francisco Lindor before opening day. Now, John Morosi of MLB Network has a possible destination. He says, I expect Francisco Lindor to be dealt this offseason, as Bob Nightingale has reported, but I was told a trade is unlikely to happen quickly. However, the Indians would love for the Mets to be heavily involved, but it will take time for their new front office to set up priorities. So, who could the Indians possibly get from the Mets in a Francisco Lindor trade? Here's a couple options. First one, you got Ahmed Rosario, who is their shortstop right now. He's 24 years old. He's played 4 MLB seasons. Last year, in the short season, he had a 252 average, 4 home runs, and 15 RBIs. Now, for a more accurate representation of a full season, look at 2019. He hit 287, hit 15 home runs, 72 RBIs, and 19 stolen bases. However, one problem he has right now is his defense. You see on the bottom there, he's got 17 errors at shortstop in 2019. Another guy who is a young prospect, he made his first MLB debut in 2020, Andres Jimenez. He's 22 years old. In 2020, he hit 263, 3 home runs, and 12 RBIs, 8 stolen bases in 49 games. And he had 2 errors at shortstop in 2020. Now, a couple other options. The Indians are in need of outfield help. One guy that a couple sites have listed as a possible option for the Indians is Brandon Nimmo. He's 27 years old. He's played in 5 MLB seasons. Now, last year he hit 280, 8 home runs, and 18 RBIs in 55 games. Now, for a more accurate representation of a full season, in 2018, he hit 263, 17 home runs, and 47 RBIs. He missed some time in 2019 due to a neck injury. Now, another guy, he's an outfielder and a third baseman, but he's played more third base last year, J.D. Davis. 27 years old, 4 MLB seasons. In 2020, he hit 247, but in 2019, he hit 307, 22 home runs, and 57 RBIs. One issue he's had as well is defense. He had 5 errors at third base in 2020. So, Les, Bud, looking at options for an Indians trade for Francisco Lindor, what would you like to see the Indians get in return for him?
But there's a couple of things that stand out on Brian's fine report there. And that is, you're talking about Rosario, who had legitimate big league numbers. But if you're the Indians with that pitching staff and basically assuming you're going to have a good staff and that'll be the best part of your team, you can't have a shortstop with 17 or 18 errors.
No, you certainly can't. What concerns me about some of the guys on that list, Les, is, and I don't know where they rank as far as the top prospects in the Mets organization. But if you're trading Francisco Lindor, you have to get the top prospect in somebody's organization, do you not?
Yes.
And, I don't know those outfielders all that well. Maybe you followed the National League a little closer. But 27 years old and, haven't really established themselves as big league, productive hitters.
Yeah, that's
not that some of those numbers weren't productive. I don't mean it that way.
No, but you're right. Those numbers stick out.
Yeah, I mean, you need to get impact players back from him. For him, and I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to trade him. I mean, we know what the financial hit this organization and other markets took. All markets took, but other markets were maybe better positioned to handle it. There's no doubt he's going to get traded, but if I were them, I wouldn't be in a hurry. I'd want teams and organizations bidding against each other.
Right. Well, two things. Brian pointed out that the Mets have a new organization, so maybe you can get somebody could slip by if that's possible. Maybe, I don't know what they're keeping over from what the new guys know about the old guys they had there. The other thing is that a new team sort of has popped into the, I don't know if you've heard it, but I've heard a couple of things. The Toronto Blue Jays might be interested. The ultimate revenge for Mark Shapiro.
Yeah, that would make some sense. That, you got guys like Antonetti and Shapiro who have a really good relationship and who probably know each other's talent pretty well. I would start with looking at the top ranked farm systems in baseball. And those are the teams that I want to talk. And I realize, listen, I'm not saying that you can get you can only get double A or single A players who might be higher ranked for Francisco Lindor. I think you do need to balance that and get some top prospects and also get some players that can help you, in the next couple years.
Yeah, I think this is textbook. I think you need for Lindor. And by the way, I think some fans have turned on him a little bit. Obviously, every fan wants him to be here, but I hear a lot of people complaining about his lack of productivity with the game on the line or with runners in scoring position. Nothing different with his defense, but I think it weighed on. I think this whole thing weighed on him heavily last year. But so it'll be interesting to see what he does. But I think that it's textbook that you need, if you're trading for Lindor, I think you need 4 players at least. One of them has to be a legitimate major league player today. Doesn't have to be an all-star, but he has to be a legitimate player. And I'm thinking in terms of an outfielder. Then you need a second player who can play every day if needed. Then you go to the prospect list and you get the first or second highest rated guy in the organization, and then maybe the 5th or 6th. I think that's the way you break it down in an ideal situation.
Yeah, I think you need to come out of it with some guys that you can plug into the lineup, but also you come out of it with a Grady Sizemore, a guy you can put in the outfield and hopefully in a couple years' time and hope that he's there for 5 or 7 years.
Yeah, they clearly didn't know how good Grady Sizemore was going to be. They had 3 guys at the end of the list, and one was a throw-in, and it turned out to be Grady Sizemore.
Yeah, well, that happened with the Matt Laporta deal too, did it not? I thought that he was the centerpiece of that deal.
Yeah, but remember that was in the World Baseball Classic, and he got hit in the head. Do you think that changed his way of playing the game?
I look back at that. Even while I bring it up, I'm still not sure of the details. I just think this. I think if from a PR hit standpoint, we all know what they faced just in thinking about trading Francisco Lindor. I think after this past season, this is probably a time that they can trade him and not get hammered the way they would have a year ago. Both because of his production and in big moments last year was down, and also because I think everybody knows that the COVID-19 has created a real special circumstance and a real special hardship for the Dolan family. So if it's one thing for Frankie Lindor to say, hey, they can afford me, their team is worth $1 billion. But we all know that the only way you can get money is to sell this team. And that doesn't exactly help in the short term when you need capital to run it. And I don't think keeping him would make a lot of sense right now, given where they are financially.